Okay, we're looking at ways of monitoring customer services for 3.1. We're very aware that very few customers ever complain. Probably a minority of customers will ever complain. So even if something is completely and utterly wrong, many people will just simply decide to opt out of using that business again, which obviously is one of the worst things you can do, because for that business, they never get the opportunity to actually be able to fix the item, and the next person comes along and has the same problem. So we need to look at ways of monitoring customer services. Why do we need to monitor customer services? Because we simply need to know if customer services are doing a good job, and we need a way of quantifying that. In other words, being able to put a number to be able to judge how the quality of customer services is meeting the needs of your customers who are particularly unhappy. So always remember, unhappy customers do not always complain. Overriding principle of customer services. So for everyone you have complain, there's probably 10, even more, who don't complain about exactly the same thing. So customer services can be monitored, and that's the important thing for this particular unit. This is about monitoring customer services. So here we are, some simple ways of monitoring your customers and your customer service team. So for example, the obvious solution will be to use surveys. And surveys and questionnaires are great, except it's very difficult to get most people to respond. And again, you'll get a subset of people who are happy and will probably never dream of answering a questionnaire because they're happy. And you get another subset of people who always answer questionnaires negatively because they always believe that there's room for improvement and think you're doing you a huge favour. So trying to judge the importance you put on questionnaires, as well as trying to get the right people to fill out the questionnaires, the people who don't normally tell you how they feel about your service, is very important. Of course, a modern way of doing that is social media, and many companies employ online capture of comments about themselves, especially large companies. And people are realizing that it's by far the quickest method of getting to the right decision maker when they have a complaint. So people will put onto Facebook or Twitter, what have you, some sort of comment about an unhappy service they've received, and it's not unusual for them to receive some sort of contact from the company itself via their customer services department within the hour or maybe within the day. And those decision makers who contact them often have a broader sort of range of response, including compensation and other things, in order to very quickly and proactively remove bad comments about the company. So they'll actively ask the person if they'd be so kind as to put a update, for example, onto their comments saying that they've now resolved the issue and they're fully happy with the company after all. We've got mystery shoppers, which are an older way of doing things, but still very valid. So you could be paid, or you could be just simply volunteering, possibly for a free burger. You'd be asked to go into an organisation's branch and to record how you felt, and record about your treatment, and record how you felt about the actual staff and their efficiency and how they were dealt with your query or your purchase or what have you as you're checking out. Some organisations employ mystery shoppers quite extensively. I know some fast food restaurants, for example, have teams of mystery shoppers going around, and they practically ask for the same meal each and every time, and they judge the meal depending on their past experience of past orders from different restaurants, and it's an extremely upfront, critical sort of system. Okay, and other companies turn actual shoppers coming out of shops into mystery shoppers by simply asking them some simple questions, possibly giving them a discount voucher, which obviously encourages them to return at a later date. But the mystery shopping is not dead. It's certainly transformed into an alternative ways of getting information. Again, if you look at some companies, they will give you on the back of the receipt a code, so you can upload your feedback on that particular order, and because it's a unique code, they know exactly what you ordered, they know exactly where you bought it from, they probably even know which member of staff served you, which member of staff made that meal, and they will be able to isolate any particular problems very quickly using that. And in exchange, the customer themselves also get some sort of discount or free meal or free item in the future. Recording phone calls. So you may have a customer services phone line. They will have some sort of 24, 12 hour, what have you, standard office hour, opening times, at which you can expect people to be able to make contact via the phone. And this is a good way of being able to record how happy customers are, bearing in mind that people who phone will always be somebody with complaints. Very few people ever phone with comments and positive, praise. But by recording these calls, you can monitor again how your staff are dealing with your customers. Are they being very professional? Are they being patient with the customer? Are they explaining to the customer what the procedure is, what's happening? Are they explaining to the customer, making sure the customer doesn't go away with unreasonable realistic sort of expectations of what's going to happen? That sort of thing. Is the actual customer being given the right information by your customer services team? And of course, it's a bit old-fashioned now, but written responses. People do, of course, still send in emails, but many years ago, people actually used to write letters to customers, sorry, to companies, if they weren't happy. But now, of course, we've also got live online chats. We've got all sorts of new technology ways of doing this. Okay, so BS 8477 came to being in 2014, hence the colon 2014. It's a code of practice for customer services. It's simply a rulebook by which any company can determine if they are meeting the set of goals for giving good customer services. Okay, so it's not a law. It doesn't provide any means of recompense to customers. It doesn't provide any means of a legitimate sort of way of customers using it against the company. It's simply a way of companies being able to use as a benchmark, if you like, to see how good they are at customer services. And as such, it's not just simply a training process. It's actually a culture where customers themselves are sat at the very centre of this procedure, and the procedures which are created by the company are to make customers feel happier about the process, about making it easier on the customer, not giving customers limitations on things like expecting them to fill in a 12-page customer complaint document, saying to them that their response will be received within, a reply will be received within 30 days or something like that. Making sure that the customer feels that they are being heard and being actually responded to. So you can see the information yourself. I'll just scroll through it. There's nothing major here. Many companies will offer training in this, but of course it's no point in going for training in this unless you work for a company which actually employs these procedures themselves and have inculcated, which is they have brought in those procedures and made them part of their own procedures within their company. So it's customer focused, customer at the heart, procedures to make the customer feel happy about complaints. And on page 19, there is a good little guide with 11 key customer service principles. These are key words you need to think about when creating policies and with dealing with customer complaints.